What's the matter? And anybody had the guts to shoot the enemy?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most powerful and impactful performances from the late, great Louis Gossett Jr.
For a brief time you joined us, you are one between the worlds.
Number 10, George Murchison, A Raisin in the Sun.
Hey, look, honey, we're going to the theater. We're not going to be in it, you know.
Oh, George, I don't like that.
Before becoming an on-screen star, Louis Gossett Jr. established himself as one of the theater's finest actors. A Raisin in the Sun signified a high point of his Broadway career. For the film adaptation, Gossett reprised his role as George Murchison, making his cinematic debut. George is an educated young man, but he's ignorant of his own heritage.
Hard to find another man on the whole south side of Chicago who understands that kind of thing. You know, if me and you get down and start talking about things, boy,
Sometimes we'll have to do that, Walter.
Looking down on black people who haven't achieved the same social status as him, George is content with slowing down progress as long as it gets him ahead in life. Buried beneath George's pompous attitude is a plethora of self-loathing, even if he doesn't realize it. In this ensemble piece, the fresh-faced Gossett holds his own against fellow legends like Sidney Poitier and Ruby Dee.
I'm talking.
Number 9, Old Mr. Johnson, The Color Purple.
You have my sympathies here, Bill. You're one of the few women in this town that allow your husband's hoe to sleep in your bed, spreading legs.
Daddy!
We go from Gossett's first film role to what would ultimately be the last before his passing. For much of this musical adaptation, protagonist Celie suffers at the hands of husband Mr. Learning more about Mr.'s relationship with his father, though, we can see the cycle of abuse that's been passed down from one generation to another. It isn't until Celie stands up for herself that the cycle is broken.
Hey, watch
You
yourself.
better handle your woman, and she should have found her mouth.
She's just being stupid.
In his limited screen time, Gossett gives a reliably effective performance as a disgruntled old man who we may never come to like. Yet, Gossett makes old Mr. feel human, a quality that all of the core characters have in common. Sharing in the All-Star Cast SAG nomination, Gossett was an inspiration to his co-stars.
Your daddy go, I guess you go in. You got it.
30-30!
Number 8, Frank Crosby / Richard, In His Father's Shoes.
Good night. Hope your dreams will all come true.
Whenever an actor passes, audiences are bound to look back at some of their work through a slightly different lens. Knowing that Gossett is no longer with us, this TV movie takes on a new sentiment. Gossett plays Frank Crosby, who dies suddenly, leaving his young son Clay behind. The grieving Clay comes into possession of his father's wingtip shoes. While wearing them, Clay travels back to his father's upbringing.
You put hot food on the table for both you and your sister? Who the hell you think paid for that? Hand me that wrench out that toolbox.
Clay also encounters his grandfather Richard, played by Gossett, in a dual performance that balances sternness and sincerity. Such shoes might not exist in real life. Going through Gossett's filmography, though, it's like experiencing crucial chapters of his life, reflecting this daytime Emmy-winning film's themes of revisiting the past while looking ahead to the future.
So it's a picture of him at the graduation. He graduated with honors. So proud of him I could burst.
Number 7, Honey Roy Palmer, Diggstown.
He hasn't fought 22 rounds today, but you remember this. You are black.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to inspire you. You know, it's a Roots kind of thing.
This boxing movie succeeds thanks to the spot-on casting, with James Woods as a fast-talking con man and Oliver Platt as another con man who talks before he thinks. Gossett is the film's champion as Honey Roy Palmer, a boxer who's getting up there in age. That doesn't mean he's past his prime. Palmer gets roped into a fight that requires him to take down 10 opponents.
What was that all about? Survival, I guess.
One less fight.
Although Palmer is 48, Gossett plays this seasoned fighter with such a fiery spirit that you believe he can go the distance. The competition doesn't play by the rules, but neither do our scheming heroes. A few sly tricks aside, Palmer is a force of nature who hits hard in the ring and hits even harder with his words.
You lost faith in me. It was a cash fight. You're the one that kept drilling me. But half of the money is in the acting. $92,000, man. $92,000.
Number 6, Colonel Charles Chappie Sinclair, Iron Eagle franchise.
Chappie, I got him. I got all 3 of the guns.
Yeah. Well, one of them got me.
As far as aerial action movies from the 80s go, Iron Eagle admittedly didn't reach the same heights as Top Gun, which came out only a few months later. They made 3 sequels for a reason, however. One of them is Louis Gossett Jr., who appeared in all 4 entries. Gossett continually stole the show as Chappie, a tough-as-nails veteran who goes from the Vietnam War to the Air Force.
I don't believe those guys could have... All that fancy maneuvering will do you no good if you don't watch what those 2 guys flying up your behind is going to do to you.
Even if the films themselves ranged from guilty pleasures to just plain guilty, Chappie is the most consistently entertaining element thanks to Gossett's charisma and ability to make any line sound badass. Even at the franchise's most absurd, Gossett brought a gravitas that made us want to salute Chappie Sinclair.
In Russia, things are simpler. So I'm told, Colonel. I have heard that your military does lean somewhat heavily towards the lighter shades.
Number 5, Will Reeves, Hooded Justice, Watchmen.
My feet are just fine.
This HBO miniseries sets itself over 3 decades after the iconic graphic novel. In addition to exploring characters who are already well established, the series fleshes out those who are only touched upon. Hooded Justice's role is drastically expanded, revealing his identity as Will Reeves. Played by Jovan Adepo in flashbacks, Gossett stars as an elderly Will, who may not be able to fight like he did back in the day. He can still serve his brand of justice without getting out of his wheelchair. Even before knowing Will's backstory, Gossett makes us feel the lifetime of pain and perseverance this man has experienced. Some of Gossett's best scenes are with Regina King as Reeves' granddaughter, showcasing 2 superheroes at the top of their acting game.
Last thing I saw before my world ended was Bass Reeves, the Black Marshal of Oklahoma. 15 feet tall and flickering black and white.
Number 4, Anwar al-Sadat, Sadat.
You cannot resign now. If you do, all our enemies will have every excuse they need to take advantage of this mess. You must salvage what you can, and you damn well better do it now.
Although this biographical miniseries didn't exactly earn a ringing endorsement from Egypt, Gossett's performance as the titular president was universally praised, earning him a Golden Globe and Emmy nomination. Clocking in at more than 3 hours, the show's success largely rests on the shoulders of its leads.
Why must these vendettas go on, these killings, go back and forth?
Gossett is more than up to the task, portraying Sadat from his youth in the military to his assassination. We feel the passage of time through Gossett's transformative performance, watching Sadat rise from a prisoner to Egypt's 3rd president. Portraying Sadat as commanding yet compassionate, Gossett demonstrates how closely linked war and peace are, often requiring a leader who can traverse both. Despite getting banned in Egypt, Gossett claimed many in the Arab world still own a copy.
Now you know why we remain silent. For the same reason the questioner refuses to identify himself.
Number 3, Jariba Jerry Shigan, Enemy Mine. If it weren't for the opening credits, you probably wouldn't guess that's Gossett hidden under the reptilian alien makeup as Jerry, a Drac who becomes stranded with Dennis Quaid's Will, a human. Although they start trying to kill each other, Will and Jerry come to rely on one another, first for survival and eventually for companionship. The setup is familiar, but the 2 central performances amount to a surprisingly effective story of enemies turned friends.
You're the invaders! No, we are explorers. We are founders of worlds!
Gossett is especially powerful in a role that could have come off as too silly in so many ways. Yet Gossett completely escapes into the character, making us shed a tear for Jerry by his final scene. It may be sci-fi, but the acting embodies real-world parallels of prejudice and acceptance.
That was wrong. I did not mean it.
Number 2, Fiddler Roots.
What it like to be free African? What it like? Must be something special.
Gossett was initially reluctant to star in this groundbreaking miniseries, interpreting Fiddler as an Uncle Tom. Researching the character changed Gossett's whole perspective. A house slave tasked with looking after the recently captured Kunta Kinte, Fiddler believes that he's edged out the best position possible for himself given the circumstances. He doesn't want Kunta making any trouble for him. Seeing Kunta's unbreakable spirit, Fiddler realizes that he hasn't been living, he's only been surviving. and that's sadly the most he can ever hope for.
You know who you be? Gunter. That's who you always be.
Fiddler might not live to see slavery end, only achieving freedom and death. By mentoring and nurturing Kunta, though, future generations may prosper. Although nominated against 4 of his co-stars at the Emmys, Gossett emerged victorious for his deeply empathetic performance.
Tired all the time playing white folks' song. And my own song to play.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Garrick, Stargate SG-1, finding humanity in another outlandish character.
I have not lied to this council. It is you that I have purposely misled. For fear that your commitment to the cause is suspect.
Dean Parker, Toy Soldiers, another reason why nobody played authority figures like Gossett.
They're gonna hunt you down, you know that, don't you? They'll eventually find you, and then they will kill you.
Jake Phillips, the Principal, a security guard who treats the school halls like a war zone.
You have a vigilant, I see.
Where we come from, they knock.
Well, where I come from, they pick locks. So with your kind permission, Mr. Principal, I'd like to replace your old rusty one with a brand new deadbolt, the kind only 357 Magnum can open up, okay?
Willie, Daddy's Little Girls. Gossett shines in a sentimental supporting role.
This place is officially yours.
I mean, I didn't want it like this.
Well, meaning, you gotta let me come back and help you from time to time.
Sidney Williams, The Josephine Baker Story. Gossett won another Golden Globe for portraying this civil rights activist.
Since the war ended, 54 black men have been lynched in the South. A lot of them still wear their goddamn uniforms. 54.
But isn't anybody fighting back?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1, Gunnery Sergeant Emil Foley, an officer and a gentleman.
Come on, man, I figured you was the kind of guy that would zip off one day in my F-14 and sell it to the Cubans, right?
No, sir! No, sir!
From the second this drill sergeant lays eyes on Richard Gere's Zach Mayo, he doesn't see the makings of an officer. Foley isn't satisfied with simply dismissing Zach, however. When given a reason, Foley seeks to break Zach, pushing him to his limits. Finding that he has nowhere else to go, Zach earns Foley's sympathy and, in time, his respect.
Get into your fatigues, Mayo. By the end of this weekend, you'll quit.
In what could have been a one-note performance, Gossett developed Foley into a surprisingly layered authority figure. He's no nonsense while scoring some of the film's most humorous lines. He lives by the rules, but there's a human behind that uniform and strict demeanor. For his arresting work, Gossett made history as the first black man to win the Best Supporting Actor Oscar.
I'll never forget you, Sergeant.
I know.
I wouldn't have made this if it weren't for you. Get the hell out of here.
What's your favorite Louis Gossett Jr. performance? Let's remember him in the comments.
Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.